Palestinians are documenting the war for millions on social media. Their followers have come to see them as family. CNN. Early on Christmas Day in the central Gazan city of Deir al-Balah, Motaz Azaiza shared a terrifying update on X. The quadcopter was flying low above the door of his house, he said, and he feared he was about to be targeted in the Israeli airstrike. As the highly visible Palestinian ally who had received the threat before, Aziza believed that he had reason to be afraid. Hundreds of people flooded the replies with concern for the 24-year-old Palestinian photojournalist who had been documenting Israel's military assault on Gaza on social media since Hamas' attack on Israel on October 7th. I'm so scared for Motaz, the replies read. I hope Motaz is okay. Pray for Motaz. Moore, the medical student in California who asked to go by her first name for safety reasons, was one of the people worrying. For months, she's been following Azaiza's dispatches from Gaza, broadcast to his millions of followers, images of his once vibrant neighborhood transformed into a gray wasteland, low grips of carnage in the ashes, and reflections on his own feelings of rage and exhaustion. Noor refers to Azaiza with the familiarity of his first name. She got notifications on her phone each time he posts, and worries when too much time passes. For so many of us, it almost feels like his brother, his friend, and we're seeing him suffer in real time, she told CNN. Noor isn't Palestinian and has never been to Gaza. What's happening there still hit close to home. Her family is Iraqi, and she grew up against the backdrop of the Iraq War. When Aziza said he fears being killed for his work, Noor found herself feeling scared and anxious for the virtual stranger halfway around the world. Their journalism isn't just journalism, it's a diary, Noor said of the Gazans posting on social media. They are showing us their lives. They're telling us, hey, I couldn't shower for a week. Hey, I barely had some of this to eat today. Motaz Azaiza, a 24-year-old photojournalist who has been documenting the war on social media, now has millions of Instagram followers. After hours with no information following that fear of the airstrike, Azaiza finally posted again. A targeted attack on his house hadn't materialized, but there was bad news elsewhere. The refugee camp was hit in an Israeli attack. Still, his post signaled he was alive, and Noor could breathe a sad sigh of relief. Palestinians on social media are a window into the war. Like millions of others around the world, Noor is witnessing the war in Gaza through the eyes of Palestinians who are sharing their daily realities on social media. Through their posts on social Instagram, X, and other platforms, these citizen journalists are putting a face to the conflict. In return, their followers are developing strong emotional connection with them. Leila Hamed, a sports journalist in London, said the first thing she does when she was wake up is open Instagram to visit profiles of Palestinians she follows and watch their stories one by one. As a journalist herself, she sees them as colleagues and feels a responsibility to bear witness. I feel so much empathy for them that I sometimes feel scared to open their profiles just thinking something bad has happened to them, she said. Kanwar Ahmed, a filmmaker and storyteller in Toronto, has a similar routine. They've become family to the entire world, she said. If creator Bizan Oda hasn't posted for 12 hours, there are hundreds of tweets. Where's Bizan? Does anybody know where Bizan is? Is she okay? If Aziza had posted a picture where you you can tell that he's looking extremely depressed or she's lost weight. There's people discussing that. These images and accounts from Palestinians offer in instant, instantaneous view that some young people feel like they haven't gotten from traditional media outlets. Ahmed said young Palestinians like Aziza, content creator Bizan Oda, and freelance journalist Hind Kudari haven't just been on the ground since the beginning. They are reporting from their homes and their communities, often persisting through extended communications blackouts like the current one that began January 12. They've become family to the entire world. Through law, selfie style videos, chron- chron- uh, chronicling the ever-present threat of explosions or the everyday indignities of displacement, they've giving outsiders on the intimate look at the human cost of war from the perspective of people who live there. Many of the images they share are so graphic that in Instagram obscured them with sensitive content warnings. Everyone's getting a chance to tell their own stories, Ahmed said. People can tell from themselves, and it's very hard to look away when you're seeing somebody sitting in the pile of the rubble. Or if you're seeing a 5-year-old girl crying next to her father's dead body. Seeing the world directly through these channels changes how people understand it, said Gianna Arafat, a Palestinian American author in Brooklyn who has written about witnessing the assault on Gaza through Instagram. The constancy of these images and the way that we watch them through our phones very much in private allows for a more direct and forceful impact, she said. It's, it's this very immediate connection between journalists and viewers, which I do think heightened the response. They're changing the way the world sees war. The demonstrators hold the church paying tribute to young Palestinian filmmaker Bizan Oda during the pro-Palestinian march in London on December 9, 2023. Israel began its relentless bombardment and ground assault in Gaza after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, killing more than 1,200 and taking more than 200 hostages, according to Israeli authorities. Israel says each offensive is aimed at wiping out Hamas, a militant group that the US, the European Union, and others consider a terrorist organization. But the conflict has also created a humanitarian crisis, one that people around the world are able to see up close. Direct accounts from Palestinians are one of the most reliable ways for people to understand the devastation in Gaza, where about 1 in every 100 people have been killed and more than 1 in 40 have been wounded since the war began, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Ramallah, which draws its statistics from hospitals in Hamas-controlled Gaza. Israel's military denies the accusations that it deliberately targets civilians. This is as close as we can get to factual and minute-by-minute reporting on the atrocities on the ground, said Marwa Patafta, analyst and researcher who lead Middle East and North Africa policy and advocacy work for the digital rights organization Access Now. Independent journalism out of Gaza is scant, with notable exceptions. Among them, international news agencies such as Reuters and Agence France. Most news organizations have been unable to cover the war in Gaza with their own correspondent. Israel, along with Egypt, has largely blocked international journalists from the territory on the premise that it cannot guarantee their safety. The few foreign journalists who have been allowed to enter have primarily embedded with the Israel Defense Forces and may have had to submit their footage to the military for security review. In December, 2 months into the war, after weeks of trying, CNN's Clarissa Ward and her team finally gained access into southern Gaza without the IDF. Their trip was facilitated by the Emirati government, which runs a hospital inside Gaza. Still, such independent reports remain rare. Eyewitnesses' accounts on social media are critical in understanding global conflict, including past flare-ups between Israelis and Palestinians. In 2021, Palestinian poet and writer Mohammed El-Kroud rose to social media prominence for his activism around the series of forces eviction cases in his Sheikh Zara neighborhood of East Jerusalem. What's different this time, according to Fatah, is how many more people are paying attention. What we see now is the continuation of what happened in 2021, but of course on the massive scale, because also what's happening in Gaza is unprecedented, she said. Before October 2023, Aziza had about 25,000 Instagram followers, according to the social media analytics firm Social Blade. That number has since grown to more than 18 million. Baisan Auda has 3.8 million followers, and Hind Kudari recently surpassed 1 million. The report to show how much violence has affected their lives. The Prescha Alaquad, a 22-year-old citizen journalist, said she wanted to humanize the Palestinians through her post on Instagram. Plesha Alaquad said she wanted to tell stories about the beauty of Gaza before the event of October 7 turned her into a de facto war reporter. After one of her videos capturing a blast going off near her building went viral, she said she felt a duty to continue. Like many Gazans on social media, she posted in fluent English, allowing her photos and videos on Instagram to reach a global audience that now number 4.7 million people. As a Palestinian living in Gaza, you don't have a choice but to be a war journalist. Al-Aqwad 22nd said in an interview with CNN. Overnight, your life changes. Overnight, a war happens, and you don't have an option. You find yourself reporting to the world what's happening, whether you like it or not. Holocaust has been on both sides of this dynamic. First as a citizen journalist, and now as a viewer. Through October and much of November of 2023, she was reporting daily on what was happening on the ground in Gaza, with her followers hanging on to every update. As a Palestinian living in Gaza, you don't have a choice but to be a war journalist. As overwhelming as it felt at times to have so many people relying on her for updates. Alaquat said she wanted the viewers to feel connected. She didn't want people to learn from TV about about some new tragedy in Gaza and just move on with their day. She wanted viewers to see Palestinians as someone's child, friend, or neighbor with lives and dreams of their own. It's not about me as Palestina, she said. It's about me as Palestinian. I'd like people to know about Palestine, to see Gaza through my eyes. In November, she made a difficult decision to leave Gaza with her family after her uncle in Australia secured emergency visas for them. Now watching from afar in Melbourne, she's the one refreshing her social media feed and anxiously texting relatives, the friends, and colleagues to make sure they're safe. The everyday details are just as moving as the violence. The view of destroyed Shakir Jayed Al Nahyan Mosque following the Israeli attack in Al Katif, our area of Gaza City, Gaza on November 4th, 2023. Viewers who scroll back far enough through these Gazans' social media posts are hit with the sobering reminders of the life before the war. Motaz Azaiza was still documenting flare-ups in the ongoing conflict before the event of October, but he also spent time near the sea photographing children playing and shared a selfie celebrating his graduation from university. Plesha Al-Alaquad filmed a tour of Gaza's old city, did a photo shoot in the motorcycle helmet, and poses for pictures with dogs. They would go to restaurants, they would go to the beach, they would watch their favorite films, they would take care of the gardens. They have a life just like me and you, said Leia Hamed, the sports journalist. Others can still see themselves in parts of these people's lives, even as they are under siege. Last month, Oda shares that she had to chop up her signature brown curls because she no longer had clean water or product to care for her hair properly. It might seem trivial to mourn the loss of hair in such a situation, but it was the intimate detail people could identify with, said Syed Faizan Laza, a design researcher in Islamabad. It goes back to those moments of relatability and how you're familiar with these people. Everyone knows these people by name and they're following them quite diligently, he said. The connections are virtual, but the danger is very real. Al Jazeera reporter Wael Al-Dazu, along with family and friends, bids farewell to his son Hamza Al-Dadu and Mustafa Turaya on January 7, 2024 in Rafah, Gaza. The two journalists were reportedly killed when their car was bombed after reporting from the airstrike on the building, while Al-Dabu's wife, daughter, grandson, and other son were killed in an Israeli airstrike earlier in the war. The work of those photographers, storytellers, and citizen journalists is dangerous. At least 82 journalists and media workers have been killed while covering the war as of January 16. 75 of them Palestinian, according to data from the Committee to Protect Journalists. Reporters in the region also face assault, arrest, and threat, in addition to communication blackout. The landscape is so that some have decided to seize their airport. On January 10, blogger Ismaili Dadu announced to his 1.2 million Instagram followers that he would no longer be documenting the war in order to seek safety with his family. Other Palestinian creators continue to record with relentless dedication. Sometimes they express despair with whether anyone is listening or whether their reporting makes a difference. One day in early December, their exhaustion was especially apparent. I no longer have any hope of survival like I had when at the beginning of this genocide, and I'm certain that I will die in the next few weeks or maybe days. Oda wrote in the December 2nd Instagram post. Israel has denied the allegations of genocide in Gaza, claiming its actions in the region are in self-defense and that it is targeting Hamas rather than civilians. The pay, the pace, the pace of risking my life to show the world what's happening is now over. A new pace has begun. The pace to survive, Motaza Aziza wrote in Arabic in the Instagram post that same day. Despite the pain, people watch to learn and bear witness. The protesters hold a sign in support of a Palestinian journalist in Gaza during a pro-Palestinian march in London on December 9th, 2023. Even as people flock to learn from and support these Palestinians on social media, Noor says the exchange is overshadowed by feelings of powerlessness. For Aziza, the photojournalist, it's almost like he's a representative of his people. Noor said, by extension, your care isn't just for him. Your care is for everyone because he is showcasing what his people are suffering. Still, Noor and other followers hope that their advocacy for Palestinian stories can keep public attention on the crisis in Gaza and put pressure on elected officials to bring about the end to the fighting. In the US, people are encouraging each other to contact their representatives in Congress and demand they support the last ceasefire. Protest Protest demonstrations and public gatherings in support of Palestinians have grown in size since the start of the war, according to data from scholars and researchers with the Crowd Counting Consortium. December 2023 Quinnipiac University poll found that U.S. voter support for sending military aid to Israel had dropped. Israel is facing a mounting international pressure to agree to the ceasefire or at least moderate its offensive in Gaza. In what it described as a new phase of the conflict, the Israeli military said it has started to withdraw some troops. It's difficult to attribute this event to any one factor, and Patafta cautions against drawing too straight a line between social media and changing opinions on the war. There is a rich history of the solidarity with Palestine in the Arab world and beyond, and Fatah said the massive social media followings of Palestinians like Aziza partly reflect that, and it's only growing because also the events on the ground are beyond atrocious, and they do merit a global reaction, Patafta said. If there wasn't, I would be scared to live in this world. Constantly checking Instagram to make sure Aziza and other Palestinians documenting the war are still alive feels dystopian, Noor said. She's had to take a break at times because the holders she's seeing through her phone are affecting her ability to function. But she knows those in Gaza don't have that luxury, so she never looks away for long. The least that I can do or anybody can do is to bear witness, she said.